All right, hey, how's it going, Sarah?
Good.
Good. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah.
How did you hear about us?
I'm just online.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, thanks for giving us a try. Have you had reflexology? Do you
No, never.
know? Hey?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're in for a treat here. Yeah. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be pushing a few buttons on your feet.
Okay.
The cool thing is that your whole body is represented on your feet, and what happens over time is that you actually imprint your stories and the health of your body and your mind and all of that onto your feet. So we get to see sort of what's going on internally as well as externally by touching and sort of palpating these what we call reflexes.
Okay.
So there's reflexes starting all the way at your head here and going all the way down to the bottom of your toes. So it's pretty cool. For the most part, there shouldn't be any pain.
Okay.
Okay. If you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till this ends, then this is probably, we're not doing it right. Okay. There will be tenderness,
Okay.
however. Okay. So if it ever gets to that intolerable pain threshold, lots of times they use the number scale of 1 to 10. It would be, around that 8, 9, 10 area where you're kind of like, oh, I don't know that I can keep going with that.
Okay. Sounds good.
We don't want that.
Okay.
Okay. However, if something starts to get a little bit spicy somewhere, 5, 6, 7, and I'm not picking up on it, it would be great if you could just let me know, because that's going to tell us areas that are indicated for possibly blockages of energy. Maybe the energy of the organ isn't working very well, or it's troubled, or it just needs some TLC. So I'd like to be able to give some extra attention to that area, be able to write it down, so we can kind of get a picture of what's going on inside Sarah.
Perfect. Sounds
Yeah?
good.
Okay, great. So no pain. We're going to be touching some feet today. And it looks like here we've got a little bit of gout, some stress, and a little bit of stiff neck that we're going to be working on.
Yeah.
Okay, so, is there anything that you want me to know about, like the gout? Is it in sort of your feet?
It's the big toe there. It's kind of on the right side, so I'm noticing like more in the knees starting and the elbow as well.
Okay.
The weirder part is I'm not having the typical pain symptoms
Okay.
with the gout, but I've gone through the testing with the doctor and they're diagnosing it as gout.
Okay.
So yeah, which is strange. There's no pain with it, but it's there.
So it's more just like red and inflamed kind of idea?
Yeah, and like on the toe there, on the mound on the dorsal side there, it feels more like a cyst.
Okay.
Almost, yeah. Just sometimes it gets swollen, like if I'm wearing high heels or something, it'll kind of
Okay.
swell, but no pain ever with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So automatically in my head, I'm starting to put a treatment plan together. So looking at gout in the detoxification process, sometimes when inflammation or even the word cyst, when things start to build up, I start looking at detoxification. So already I'm thinking liver, I'm already thinking kidneys and urinary system. I'm also looking at where it is, the location of it, and it's kind of on that dorsal side of the heart reflex. So it can sort of be heart related. It could, so a little bit of circulation maybe. Also looking at color, because color can indicate sometimes the emotions that are behind it. So it could be a little bit of anger, it could be a little bit of passion that's built up in the heart. So then also looking at cells and building up of cells. We could be looking at thyroid for metabolism, because the thyroid and parathyroid are what metabolize the body and make sure everything stays even keeled. We could also be looking at the pituitary and the hypothalamus in terms of water buildup, and with the pituitary, the human growth hormone, being able to do kind of cell turnover. So those are things that I'm looking at right away for gout that I would keep in my mind, that when I go to do the assessment, looking and palpating some of those reflexes to see what I would keep as my top 5. So then tell me a little bit about stress.
More just like financial stress with what's going on in between jobs and stuff like that. And then over the last few years, I've just been dealing like with divorce and stuff.
Oh,
So
fun.
yeah, it's been really fun.
I got divorced when I was 21, and I was just talking about it with my second husband. I call him my practice husband, my first one.
Yeah,
Now,
totally.
now I can, right?
Yeah,
but
totally.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't know. There's these things that it almost like you can't explain to someone how it feels, and yeah, it's just kind of a weight.
It is.
It's a weight, and you're just like,
yeah. It's like, can we just be past it all?
Yeah, totally. No, I don't think anyone hasn't been affected by the last couple of years, and the challenge is that it seems like we're not supposed to talk about it. We're just supposed to talk about all the good things that's happened from it, and all the blessings that's come from it.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
Okay. So for stress, we're definitely looking at solar plexus, and when somebody talks to me about stress, I also take a look at their face, especially from facial reflexology, and take a look at some of the areas that could be potentially stressed for that person. So I'm taking a look at Sarah's lips here and looking in through the adrenal reflex. So the adrenal and kidney reflexes look a little bit stressed. Also from the forehead, the liver and the stomach also look a little bit stressed as well. So maybe with your little heart and anger thing, I maybe hit a nail on the head there.
Absolutely, yeah, you did.
So working in through that, and with all of that, now I'm looking at possibly lymphatics. So all of this stuff is going on in my head. They might not be the top 5 key reflexes that I pick, because I've obviously said more than 5 at this point, but it will come to me what I think, and then when I get to the feet and what I observe from the feet is what I would do to pick my key reflexes for my assessment. And then your stiff neck.
I was in a car accident a few years ago, so I've had severe whiplash with that, and it's just kind of been chronically stiff since. Yeah.
Like on the sides,
Yeah, more on the sides. Sometimes I feel like it's in the actual bone itself.
Like at the base of the head, like the exhibit area?
There, as well as like C7 is usually a bad culprit. Where like it almost feels like it needs to be stretched out, like between the vertebrae. It almost feels like there's a compression feeling and it just wants to pop or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason why I ask about where it's located is because when we're working the head reflex, which is the entire toe area, we can start to pinpoint a little bit of where it is. So in through the exhibit area would be kind of right around in through here along where the phalange, that first phalange connects to each other. That's where that exhibit bone is going to be. And then obviously C7 area is going to be a little bit farther down, right around, where again, this is manifesting on her toe. C7 is exactly right there on the spine. So it would be almost lead me to think perhaps that you have either like a little bit of now this is going down. This is my thought process, not necessarily what I would share with the client, whatever, but it would lead me to say that that's trying to tell me you have something very similar in your spine.
Okay. Interesting.
Like a buildup, because you're talking about a buildup of fluid and that it needs to be popped.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what kind of
pops up.
My little guides are telling me it's because she's got something in her neck.
Interesting.
So that's very interesting. And as we're starting to talk about it, actually, I feel like it's starting to go down. So sometimes when we talk about things that they can start to go down. So not all of these things am I going to say to the client, okay? These are things that are kind of going on in my head and like, okay, that's great. So what were we hoping for to accomplish today? This isn't necessarily a one-time fix all, but if you could walk out of here feeling a certain way, how would you like to feel?
Maybe just more at ease.
More at ease. Okay. and then sort of more longer term and working through that.
Exactly.
Typically what I always say is that reflexology is done the best when it's done the first 3 treatments done in a week. It's such a new thing that your body is experiencing. So a lot of times on the first treatment, it's like, oh, hello, you want me to do what now? And then on the second treatment, it's like, oh, it's you again. Oh, okay, you really do want me to get this new homeostasis.
Right.
Because that's what we're trying to do with the body, is we're trying to help the body optimally function. So over the ages, you've had stresses and events and all of these different things that your body has really created this new normal. Like, this idea that we don't fix things until it's broken. Well, that's because your body does a really good job of managing all of your things until it can't manage it anymore.
Right.
So we want to dial that back. So we want to prevent it from getting to up the creek with no paddle.
Totally. Yeah.
And we catch that. So on your third treatment, we're usually able to push that back a little bit.
Okay.
And then you're at a better baseline and everything's kind of functioning a little bit more optimally.
Okay.
Depending on if we're in a chronic state or depending upon a couple of things, we might want to carry on with weekly treatments. Most of the time I have my clients go to kind of a 2 to 3 week after that just to see how your body responds.
Okay.
But then we can kind of determine it at that point. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, good. All right, so no pain. We're going to be playing with your feet a little bit. I'll be probably asking a couple of questions that might not sound great, or not sound great, that might sound weird.
Okay.
But that'll kind of all help us find the picture. All right, so I'm going to start with doing a little bit of an assessment, getting your feet a little clean, and then we'll kind of work the whole entire body, just so if there's something that comes up that I haven't thought about already, we'll be able to catch it. This session is totally for you.
Okay.
So if you feel like you want to ask me questions, that's totally fine. But if we're going to get this whole ease process, then just relax and I take notes so we can talk about everything at the end.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, okay. I hope that helps. I hope that helps to show you sort of what my process is, how I can help people relax during the session, that don't worry, I've got your back. I'm writing everything down so that we'll be able to talk about things at the end. You don't have to feel like you have to ask me questions. You're more than welcome to, because obviously this is your session, but hope that helps for that. Okay, so coming to the feet then, I would do a quick assessment. So I take a quick peek at the liver reflex and I can see that I have a little bit of discoloration in through here. You can kind of see a little line. So I'm going to test into the liver reflex a little bit here, Sarah.
Yeah, a little tender there.
A little tender.
More like on the edge of it, on the lateral edge.
Okay. What if I go this way?
Not too.
Okay. So a reflex that maybe doesn't hurt for you would be this reflex.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah.
feels okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna kind of test like this is sort of a great reflex, and then when I work,
Yeah, it's different.
it's different.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna write that down. Now, if you were to give me a number, around that 10, 0 to 10 mark, what would that be?
I think it was kind of like a 4, I guess.
A 4? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So why I ask that, especially on the first one, is so that I can start to get a baseline of what the reflexes feel like. Now, as a starter and as a beginner, you'll need to do that for a lot of reflexes. But now that I've established how one feels, generally when I get onto another reflex on this same person's feet, I should be able to feel then and be able to govern where I'm at.
Okay.
So I was also kind of observing the feet and wanted to kind of come into the groin area because I saw that there was a little bit of puffiness. So I'm just going to
Yeah. A little tender, yeah.
Tender and through there.
Yeah. Again, more so like on the lateral edge and right like at the drainage point. Feels more
Okay.
tender, yeah.
In some reflex methods, this drainage point has actually been called the whiplash point.
Oh,
So just keep in your toolbox here that is that.
okay.
So now I'm going to come into the C7 area and I'm just going to test in through this neck reflex here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to come a little bit plantar because I want to see, this is that whole C7 area. So I want to see what other areas right in here.
Yeah, right in there.
Okay. So that is opposite to here. Okay. So it would be sort of a referral area.
Okay.
I'm going to also come into the low back because that's a referral area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, right there.
Okay. And how about on this foot?
Yeah, it's tender. It felt more sharper on that side, but yeah,
Okay.
it's still tender.
Let's take a look at this one.
Yeah.
And enter here. And what would you say that neck area is?
The neck, I'd probably say like a 6-7, somewhere in there.
Okay. So you can see here that I write down the symbol. I write down where it's located. And 6-7. Okay. And it's a little bit more sharp in the low back. And the low back area here was about 6-7 too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the groin area as well. I'm going to make a mark in through the groin area for lymphatics. Okay, the last reflex I think I'm going to go with, because we're talking bones and we're kind of talking tissue in through here. I'm going to go into the kidney. So I want to really locate and palpate my kidney properly. So I'm finding that fifth metatarsal, coming over, landmarking. Then I'm exposing the tendon, and I'm finding between zones 2 and 3. And I'm going to